okay. So full wheel for me has been a real challenge in my practice from when I started. I've had a couple of breaks in my back and my spine, so that challenged me not just on a physical level, but on a fear level, because you do damage like that. There's a lot of attachment to when that happens. So I was very fearful of doing it. And the other one was I didn't have a lot of like rotation in the shoulders here either. So it was a real challenge for me to do it. And still to this day, it's a challenge to me. But the reason I do it is because I need to do it. It makes me feel great. It energizes my whole body. It gives me a real energy boost. You break through fears and insecurities. A lot of that is because your heart space is so wide open, and we generally don't walk around with our heart wide open. You know, if there's a loud noise, we tend to close this space and turn our back. So when we're in something that's got our heart space so open, it can make us feel a little bit vulnerable. So this is something to bear in mind with your students. You know, wide open heart space all the time can really bring them into an emotional place. But at the same time, I know that if I do the alignment right, it gets a little bit better, and it gets a little better each time. Now, if you've got a real natural back bend, this is going to be one of the poses that you probably love most in the world and find it really easy to do. But like I say, there is a large percentage of people where this is, because of their daily work and their range of movement, they don't get to open the body up like this, so it can be a bit of a challenge. So we'll talk about the alignment and maybe some things that you can try to do. So if you were building up for this in a class and you had maybe some people who were maybe earlier in their practice and other people that could do full wheel, you would ask the people in your class to do bridge and do a really good bridge. And that again is building up that strength, ready for when you move on to full wheel. And then you can give the option to anybody who's got maybe a stronger practice or who has a good back bend, they can have that option too. So if you've got bridge, you can have an option to build up to it, or you could do bridge first as you're building up, because wheel would maybe be like a peak pose of your floor section. So you would do bridge to build the awareness up, and then eventually you would go into the full wheel. But again, if you've got the option of, if there's a beginner in your class and if there's somebody more experienced, they're the two options that you would give. You would give them the bridge to do, and then the wheel. So everybody's happy in your class. So I would start from the same place as where we started to do the bridge. So lying down on my back, I draw my heels in as close as I can to my sit bones, and again I want my feet hip distance apart, and I don't want my feet to turn out because it will make my knees turn out. I want to keep them feet parallel with the side of the mat, pushing down. And then you'd have to take your hand up and over and underneath your shoulder so you can get the hand onto the floor like this. So this is what I mean by this opening up of the shoulder here. If you haven't got, good rotation in the shoulders, getting your hands down there is going to be really difficult. So you would do Anahata Asana and things like that. That would start to open up the front of the shoulder, so you would be able to do wheel. So, but that's just something you have to watch in your class. If somebody can't get the hands down to the floor like this, they're better doing wheel, and then they are trying to do this, better doing bridge, I should say, rather than trying to do the full wheel. So the hands come over, and you want to get the fingertips, if you can, underneath the shoulders on both sides. And again, I try and want to keep the elbows tucked in towards each other and push into the feet. And I inhale up and onto the crown of the head. So now I can set my feet, I can set my hands, and on an inhale I'm pushing into the feet and straight through my hands. So I would inhale up, and then lift the chin into the chest, come down onto the back of the head, and then hug the knees into the chest And again, just close that heart space up. But you can see with me how this, even now, this rotation in the shoulders, that once I get up, I can't push through the arms to make them straight. So what I'm doing is, instead of trying to do something out of the alignment of the pose to make it happen, I just focus on that alignment each time. The elbows tucked in, pushing straight down through the hands and pushing straight down through the feet. So there was a time that I couldn't get my head onto the mat. I couldn't lift up to get my head on the mat. But once you can get up onto the crown of the head, take that time then to re-establish your foundation through your hands and your feet. And on an inhale, pushing into both at the same time, lift the head up off the floor. Like I say, if you've got beginners in your class, the bridge pose would be a safer option. And then anybody with tight shoulders that you're trying to get so they can open like this, you would do Anahata Asana and poses like that, that lift and open the chest like that and open the shoulders. So there we have it, full wheel. Be careful with this one, it's a big, big pose, but it's super good for giving you an energy boost. It's really good for the thyroid. So it's a great pose to do, but you need to make sure that you do it right and correct. So don't judge yourself on whether you can do this great big thing. You're always working with how you feel and the parameters of yourself. And then relax and be in your asana. So, Namaste.
Okay. Keep smiling. Yeah. Well, we took all the chances and danced all the